games I wish that was a thing in, and it's not. When I play a game and it says like, "Oh, well, you need to buy the premium currency, or you can't get anything," I'm like, "Damn, like, respectfully, fuck you a little bit."
Our informant is waiting for you in the
Yeah,
reception.
I'd say Fortnite's more of an exception than the rule, but yeah. But in this one, the fact that I can do a mission, like a mission that I like too, like a mission that I would play for fun if I didn't even get anything. I can get things that I can sell to people.
And a mission that you've already done 400 times.
Yeah, but I just love the mission. Like, I don't know. I would say if you really hate the idea of doing something again that you find really enjoyable,
you must be Dave Reddy.
I guess that's the differ. Is I don't.
For me personally, I love the way this game feels to play. Like, fundamentally.
I enjoy doing the missions, but I don't enjoy doing the missions. And I don't know how to explain what I mean by that.
I see. Whereas for me, like, I literally load up Exterminate sometimes and just, like, kill. Like, I don't need to do that for anything. I don't technically get that much out of it, resource-wise, because I already have enough of the resource I get from that. It's just, no, I kind of feel like just going in and just running around and like, trying out a build and killing some guys or something. I just fundamentally enjoy that part so much that it doesn't even matter what I'm getting for it. The getting stuff is just kind of a bonus.
I'll put it like this. Here's another comparison. Have you ever played Firefight in Halo?
I don't think so.
Do you know what it is?
Can you refresh me?
Yeah, so it started in Halo 3 ODST. It's basically just like their version of survival. It's like a wave-based thing. There's a certain amount of enemies every wave, and they all come from the drop ship. You're on like one small map area, and you just survive as long as you can, basically.
Okay.
They get increasingly harder as it goes on, whatever. So I find... Yeah, exactly. But not exactly. So I find that really enjoyable because it's difficult and you never know how far you can get. But I feel like survival and Warframe's more just how long do you want to play. I know it does get difficult at a point, but the majority of the ones that I've played, it's always... I need to get to wave 10 for this quest. Let me stay and play this until I get to that point. But I never had any trouble doing it.
I will also say that's because you're a little overleveled.
Because what?
Wait, do you mean like... I said you're a little bit overleveled. I would say if you're playing a survival mission that is at your caliber, it is so much more enjoyable than just being everything you're touching.
Yeah.
When I do a Steel Path survival mission with an unoptimized build, like...
see, that was an unoptimized build, and this and that. You're adding all these qualifiers. I don't feel like that makes sense.
That's one qualifier.
But you sounded like you cut yourself off from saying that.
No, I said when I do one with an unoptimized build. Or if I'm just like... There's mission types that scale a lot faster than survivals do. That I like to do also. Like, I can't really get into what the mission type is. But... like, the enemy levels, like, exponentially scale. So once you defend, like... or you don't need to defend it, but once you, like, activate a few of these thingies, the enemy level starts to just skyrocket. And for that, it does get hard pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. So that's kind of the same idea.
I suppose. I just feel like the under optimized build things more just like if I play this firefight with one hand, it's gonna be difficult. Should I play with one hand? Probably not.
It'd be like if you did a firefight with a gun that you weren't like really cozy.
But that's not optimized. That's just not familiar.
Okay. Or if I'm like... I don't know, because I feel like
It just
if
seems
I'm
like you
using
have to make it intentionally hard.
if I'm using my best Warframe or best weapons, it can handle almost anything. But I'm also not always using them, and they're super situational. For example, I would say if I'm going to do a defense mission, I wouldn't be bringing my like super strong Gauss, because Gauss isn't really good at defense missions as much. If I brought a Gauss, I would live and I would do damage, but the defense target would die. So sometimes you bring frames that are less good at some things but better at others. And if I was bringing one of those that I might not play as much, I would say doing like a high level defense mission would even be hard to an extent.
Excuse me, sir. Seems like you're not cleared.
I don't know.
Does that?
I get what
does that
you're
make sense?
saying. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Though, yeah.
I don't know if that really addressed what you were saying. You were saying that the firefight you like doing because you like to see how far you can go. Because it's difficult even with like endgame stuff on.
Well, no, there's no concept of endgame stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's kind of a fundamental difference from the get-go.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there is some kind of like that, I guess. There's things that like they kind of remove all the mods and everyone starts in the same spot.
Dave Reddy, our informant, is waiting for you in the reception room. If you like,
Yeah, I guess that sounds like it could be similar. Might be fun.
what you do from then
I
on
just feel like
is up
most
to
of
you.
Warframe stuff you have to intentionally make it hard or it's not hard.
Will not wait around for long.
But again, I know
I'm gonna fundamentally disagree with that. I would say you're talking to a guy who does that, but that's because he has 3,000 hours in the game. If you're talking to almost anybody, they're always trying to do as much as possible, damage-wise and crowd control-wise.
but
it's just gotten to a point for me where, especially if I'm playing,
You must be Dave.
like if I'm going into like, I don't know. When I said an unoptimized build, I didn't mean a bad build either. I just meant I would have the luxury of building it differently because I knew it could handle what it was doing regardless. Like, for example, I might build a weapon with, like, corrosive instead of slash and viral, because corrosive is more fun to play, even if it might not necessarily bring you to level cap. That makes sense.
I think that we're both right, because we're both talking about personal preference.
I'm with you. I've been agreeing since the get-go. I thought you were doing this thing where we were just kind of arguing just cause.
Yeah, no, we are. I'm just saying, I'm exhausted at this point.
I see. Because I was never trying to beat you. I realized that we're going to fundamentally differ regardless. I was trying to get my views across more effectively.
And I think you did convince me of something. So it was a successful exercise, and I'm getting a phone call, so I will be right back. I'm not trying to just bail, I swear.
I understand.
Hello? Okay, I'm back. What's up, Sam?
Hi.
Hey. Did you need something? You said, hey, Nick, while I was on the phone.
Saying your name.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
Not in particular.
Are you sure? Felt like you had something you were getting at.
I thought you were on the phone, though.
I was. I'm not anymore.
Oh, you're not anymore?
No, I hung up so I could see what you needed.
Wait, you hung up on the
What?
phone
No.
to see what I needed?
That wasn't the only reason. That was... Yeah. Sorry, what's up?
I was just saying, hey, Nick.
Yeah, but you don't just... Hey, Sam.
Yeah.
You don't just... I'm saying that because you said, hey, Nick, but normally you don't just do that.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't... I don't know.
You feel like I don't what?
I feel like you don't want to say what you wanted for some reason.
Maybe it's because I was giving you a chance to go back to your phone call, because I called you away for no reason.
Well, the phone call's done. I hung up.
Maybe I didn't know that at the time, and I assumed that someone was waiting on me to finish what I was saying before you go back to him, and I didn't want to be that guy that called you away just to say something dumb and unrelated for no reason.
It's completely okay. Everything's good. Can you say the thing you had though?
You're not gonna like it.
That's okay.
I'm just kidding.
I don't like most of the things you say, but we get over it.
Wow.
I'm sorry, that's a joke. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. What was it? What was your thing?
No, it's fine. I'm just gonna say one other thing that I find enjoyable to do. And this isn't me trying to change minds either. This is me just saying something else I like to do for fun.
Of course.
Is sometimes there's like a warframe that I really like, right? Like a lot.
Like Gauss.
But that might, like Gauss, but they might not necessarily be optimized for a specific type of mission. Like I was saying, like Gauss isn't really good at like defense missions, for example. And one fun thing that I like to try to do sometimes is through various systems that the game has, I will try to find a way to make it build to make that warframe good at something that they're not technically really built to do. Because I find that enjoyable.
Yeah, that does seem fun.
Because there are ways to make Gauss good at defense, but just my usual build for Gauss isn't defense focused.
Yeah.
And similarly, maybe not similarly, but in my experience, there's like 3 or 4 warframes. I'd say probably like 3 warframes that are fundamentally incredible at certain things, but I don't really. Whenever I play them, I'm like, all right, well, like they're really good, but this also is. It might help your case on what we were talking about earlier, but I'm not having that discussion anymore, apparently.
Okay.
But there's like 1 or 2 frames where they still feel unique and they still have their shtick and everything. But to an extent, especially this one guy, I'm gonna just say him by name because
he's gonna say the thing.
All right, so there's a guy called Revenant, right?
Uh-huh.
And Revenant is an amazing warframe at staying alive, arguably the best at staying alive in the game.
Big time.
He's so hard to kill.
Uh-huh.
Virtually immortal at almost any level. Pretty, like, it's not. You still need a pretty good build, but it doesn't have to be like min-max to make it possible.
Uh-huh.
And he does like 1 or 2 other things, but by and large, he's like known as being that guy that just when you play him, it's really hard to get killed with. And he might be really effective, and he might be objectively an excellent option for things where you don't need to die, which is most things, but you know what I mean?
Right.
But when I'm actually playing him, I'm not like, wow, I'm having a blast right now.
But
Because he's really, really good, but I wouldn't describe him as like the funnest guy in the world.
Because of the lack of challenge, or just in general his playstyle isn't exhilarating?
I would say it's kind of a mixture of both. Because I would say that like his first ability is pretty solid. His second ability is an invincibility one. His third one is
Wait. So he already basically can't die, and he has an invincibility ability?
No, that is the invincibility ability.
Oh, that's what you.
He has an ability that gives him he gets a certain amount of charges, right?
Okay.
And anytime he takes any amount of damage, he loses 1 charge. That could be 5 damage, that could be like 10 million damage. It doesn't matter how much damage it was, he loses 1 charge for that.
Okay.
Which is really strong and scales technically forever. But like he can like he can mind control some enemies and whatnot. He can like dash through them and get some health back, which doesn't really matter on him. Mm-hmm. And his 4th ability is like a bit of a nuke, but it doesn't really scale that high. So he's pretty strong and incredibly hard to kill, but I wouldn't say he's like I've never like it's so rare that I play him and think, wow, I'm having a complete blast right now.
I've got a ton of things to prepare at my end today.
He's really effective, just not very fun, I guess.
Uh-oh. Hang on a second. I just accidentally broke my sound. I cannot hear you anymore.
You just broke your sound?
I fixed it. Sorry, I was messing. I had the. It's a whole story. I'll wait to tell it until you finish what you're saying.
Okay. I also can't fully remember exactly why I was talking about it, but I'm just saying that just because there's an option that's objectively good doesn't mean it's an option that you'd necessarily want to use.
Uh-huh.
Like, if there was, like, an item in Hitman that you could just touch a guy with it and walk away and he would die in, like, 2 minutes and no one would ever be able to trace you.
Yeah.
Like, it would be so easy to beat the missions, but, like, I don't know if it would really be enjoyable to beat the missions anymore.
Right.
That's kind of relevant.
There is actually a comparable like that. There's a
Do you ever
thing.
use it?
Yes. It's so there's. Oh, how do I wanna?
Well, I just felt like that was the best example. If you can think of a better comparison, I'm all ears. Or if you had, like, a homing bullet that would just seek him out and kill him.
Yeah, like no, I get what and agree with what you're saying. I do like there's a if I'm trying to speed run the contract because similarly to what I complained about in Warframe, it's basically just like a keep playing this game, so here's a thing that takes forever and I just need to get contracts completed. Then I'll use something that basically if you can get behind so normally in Hitman, if anyone sees the body, then you lose your silent assassin rating. And it's like, uh-oh, you only get 4 stars now or whatever. But if you use a poison, then the body can be found. And there's a injectable syringe lethal poison. So sometimes it can be kind of easy to just use a certain item to make the target get away from everyone else and then just jab them with the syringe. And then
That
you're
makes
done.
sense.
It's super easy. It is still fun. If you're trying to make a cool way to, like, if you're trying to make an impressive or worth sharing method on how you were able to complete this mission or whatever, I would never just be like clown fart syringe.
That makes sense. Well, it's kind of a similar idea too, I guess. Because, like, I still use them, but only on, like, one mission type. And it's not even, like, the hardest hitting mission type. It's just a mission type where if your teammates go down, they're just dead.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be, like, considered one of the endgame ones. And so they put a modifier in there where, like, if you go into the bleed out and then you actually die, you're just gone.
Mm.
And one of the good things about this guy is those charges, he has an augment that gives his teammates some of them. And so I like to use them sometimes just so I don't have to revive my teammates. Sometimes.
Alright.
Which I guess I'm using the invincibility guy so that I'm less inconvenienced because I don't want to... I mean, like, I'm fine reviving people. I do it all the time. But...
Of course.
In that mission type... it's kind of a hassle because, like, the way I've made my build, it's a pretty... The boss type that you have to fight has, like, this specific mechanic where you want to do, like, a lot of damage as soon as possible, as soon as they're vulnerable, because they kind of build up a resistance to your damage as you shoot them more. And so the more damage you do immediately, the less they get the chance to really build that up. But if I'm trying to do that, my teammate goes down. Now it's like, all right, well, I still want this guy to, like, I'm not just going to let him die.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of missing my window. So if I can just put charges on everybody, I don't have to deal with it. But long and the short of it is he's still really good at that, but that's literally all I use him for. Because if you're doing anything where you need to, like, defend a point, or you need to, like... if you need to complete something else, the main thing he's good at is just not being killed.
Yeah, makes sense.
So he's not, like... I wouldn't say he's, like, the most versatile. I'd say if somebody said, I need a guy who just doesn't die, I don't care how fun they are, I'd be like, alright, this guy. If that's something that matters, then I'd say literally almost anybody else would be better. And to an extent, there's one other Warframe who, like, kind of... There's one or two frames that can turn invisible. And turning invisible is great, but when you're invisible, enemies just can't see you anymore. Which means they're not shooting at you. Which means you can shoot them and they can't really shoot you.
Yeah.
Which is a great mechanic in terms of thematic appropriateness. And once you shoot enough bullets, they'll be like, oh, that's kind of where he is, and start shooting aimlessly at you. Like, roughly where you just were. Or they shoot it where they hear the gunfire coming from.
Can they still hit you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you can also suppress your weapons or use a bow or something, and then they don't know where it's coming from at all. And then there's still technically some things that could hit you, but they're not going to be shooting at you. So, I don't know. Like, a few people are kind of divided on that. Because it's always been a mechanic, and like they've made changes to it in the past. And I don't see any problem with it, because there's other really strong things out there. But it's a very preferential thing, where some people love being invisible and not being shot at, and some people are like, it kind of just... If I'm invisible, then like, what's the challenge here?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know which camp you fall into, so...
I mean, if I'm gonna be invisible the whole time,
well, like, it lasts for like duration. Like, you're invisible for like a certain amount of seconds, and then you're uninvisible.
yeah, if it's not constant, I mean, I don't think I would hate it too much. But if it's repeatably usable and I can just chain it and be invisible the entire match, that might be a little boring.
Makes sense.